Welcome, Ecom Logistics Nation. We're thrilled to be coming to you live from the heart of Atlanta at Modex 2024, right here at the Georgia World Congress Center. A shout out to our sponsor, G&P Construction, your go-to provider for comprehensive turnkey material handling and solutions in both logistics and commercial needs. We are truly grateful for the support.
What's your journey with robotic automation going to look like for your company? Do you want to be on the bleeding edge, of new stuff, which we need, right? There's nothing wrong with that. You just need to know that you're going into that with eyes wide open, right?
Welcome, Ecom Logistics Nation. We're thrilled to be joined today, right now, by Chris from Robot Advisory Group. Thanks for joining us, Chris.
My pleasure, Dan. I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Chris, I don't know if you saw that, but he didn't try your last name. Can you help us with that?
I didn't catch that. I don't know how to say it either, so maybe we should.
No, it's
Lingamfelter.
Lingamfelter. Fantastic.
It's actually there's a town. Berliner is from Berlin.
Mm-hmm.
There's a town called Lingenfeld.
Okay.
And so we are from Lingenfeld. It's a tiny little town in the Bavarian area in Germany. But I was born in Germany coincidentally because my dad was in the Air Force. So we like our German heritage. Yep.
So, and you're celebrating a 1-year anniversary of launching the company. So
that
maybe
is exactly right.
Talk to us a little bit about your experience. What was the journey like to launch your new venture?
Sure. So I've been in supply chain and I've been fortunate to be in the right place at the right time. So the first half of my career, I was on the software side with 3 different warehouse management software companies, including Manhattan Associates.
Okay.
And then I got this crazy invitation to go join Kiva. And I wasn't even sure that it was going to work, but I got excited about it.
It's like robots in warehouses.
Robots
cool.
in warehouses. And why would you want the shelves to move around? That's just crazy.
Yeah.
And Mick said, well, it's just kind of like a carousel, but much better. And I got convinced. And, they had 2 customers when I joined. And then, of course, everyone knows 4 years later, we sold the company for quite a lot of money to Amazon.
Bags and bags of money. That's
Yes. Unfortunately, I only got a very, 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 very small portion of that bag.
Okay.
Yes, my bag was pretty small, but it got me bit into the VC startup, supply chain industry. From there, I moved my family to Frankfurt, Germany, and I ran system sales for Dematic for Europe, Middle East, and Africa.
My condolences.
No, it was a fantastic experience. Both professionally and personally, living and working in Germany. And I really thank the leadership team at Dematic for having this crazy American. I mean, I have a lot of an energy for an American, but if you put me next to a German, we look like a different species.
Yeah, I completely agree. 100% agree with that sentiment. But you are German by
9
heritage. Yeah. 9. Yeah.
So from there, actually, I came back to the United States. Intelligrated wanted to build a robot division within Intelligrated. So I was responsible for the in-rack shuttle system. And we did that for 4 years. I was given a budget of several $1 million, $7.5 million, and told you have 4 years to build a $75 million business unit within Intelligrated. And we did that, or at least we were on that trajectory. And Honeywell came along and bought the company. So that was great. And then from there, I was president of White Systems, the horizontal carousel company based in Massachusetts. I did that for a year. And my good friends, Jerome and Ryland, who I'd worked with at Kiva, said, we really want you to come run sales for us at 6 River Systems.
Mm-hmm.
So I ran the sales and customer support organization for account management for 6 River for a while. And then, of course, Shopify came along and bought that company.
So you know our friend Rich Ottoman over there?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. Rich
Good guy.
he's
Shout
fantastic.
out to Rich, yes.
Yes, absolutely. Definitely. He's rock solid.
Yeah.
And part of the Ocado Intelligent Automation team now.
Yep.
Sorry. And then I went to a California-based startup called Third Wave and did that for a while. They do autonomous fork truck pallet movement. Kind of a unique, shall we say, a unique offering in that they can go out really high.
Yep.
So most autonomous fork trucks right now, they're kind of inching up like
Yeah.
So from there, I people have said to me, my dad was actually an entrepreneur in the supply chain space.
Okay.
That's how I got involved. I studied entrepreneurship at Babson College, and my dad convinced me. He kind of tricked me into coming to work for him. He owned a WMS company called Exeter Software, and it was just a phenomenal experience. And so people said, why don't you go start a company like your father? You've got a lot of energy, you know a lot of people. And I kept saying no. And then a year ago I said, well, why not try it?
Yeah.
And rest is history. It's been a really fun ride since that point.
Supply chain is family business because I see your daughter's here.
Yes, my daughter's kind of, she's not on camera, but she has a camera and she's taking some pictures for social media. And she launched our Instagram account earlier this week, which I'm not sure of the ROI on that one, but she said, trust me, Dad. And you got to trust the next generation sometimes. So we'll see. Well, it also helps build our expertise, right? I learned a lot myself just wandering around, doing the video interviews with companies, understanding, the difference between the different approaches to truck unloading. We did interviews with companies I didn't even know were doing truck unloading yesterday. So Mugen was a really impressive one that we saw at ProMat last year. But they have a huge booth here, just as an example of some of the different technologies on the truck loading and unloading side.
From our perspective as well, just over the last day, the amount of different kind of companies we get to talk to, and some of them we know, but we don't get to sit down and have this conversation at this level of depth. And this really enables that. Like we had a conversation with the SVT folks yesterday. Man, my understanding of what they did, with AK, my understanding of what they did versus like the depth of what they do is completely different. And I was blown away. And I'm glad that I got to have that conversation at that level with them, right? So I love this side of the business for sure.
Excellent.
Well, Chris, maybe if we could just talk about the why behind launching your venture a year ago. And as someone who, I've spent 20 years on the 3PL side of the business, have explored various automation robotics solutions in the market. One of the things you have to do is you've got to prove out the ROI, the business case. You've got to get the CFO to approve and get the project moving forward. So it sounds like in one of those areas of focus, one of the whys behind launching is utilizing all that experience you just talked about and helping companies, because, I think I heard a stat yesterday, 88% of warehouses are still very manual without any automation.
Yeah,
so
especially in the United States. Right?
Okay.
It's fascinating because we have access to a lot of capital here, but in Europe, they have a lot of access to like government and college and university grants. Okay. So it's just, there's some differences to the system.
And the cost of labor as well is a different equation out there than it is over here, right?
It is. If you think about, sometimes you'll see reports of, in the US, a company, the lowest paid person as a ratio to the highest paid person, the CEO, right? And that band in Europe is just much more narrow. But at the top end, they tend to get paid less. So which is just kind of just a how their economy works.
Yeah, we were talking about with the auto store folks, how their European installs are like just smaller cells, thousands of them, versus like over here, it's always the big capital investment type of.
And then go to Australia and everything is actually really large because the retail environment is consolidated into really just two giant retail companies. So.
Yes. Also, even in Canada, right? You don't build like 17 warehouses. You have 3. One in Toronto, one in Calgary, one in
exactly.
Vancouver.
Well, you have a linear supply chain in Canada. Everyone lives along the border, except Calgary's kind of up a little bit, and then you kind of go back to Vancouver.
Exactly.
So, No. But I wanted to go back to the original question. Out my career, I probably averaged touring 2 or 3, 2.5, I don't know, warehouses a week, right? And then they take us on a tour, and then in the back of the warehouse, gathering dust. They're like, "Oh, don't look at those robots over there. We bought that a few years ago. It didn't work out." That's really not good for anybody, right? It's certainly not good for the company that bought the system, even if they bought it on a pilot or whatnot, right? It's just there was still a tremendous amount of energy put into the integration and, call it like the capital, the goodwill capital with the employees. Oh, this, we're going to get ready for this. And then it fails. And then the next time you try to do it, they're skeptical from the beginning, right? It's not good for the vendor. I mean, it might be good in a flash if they got paid up front, but it's certainly not good in the long term for them. And it's terrible for the environment. Think about all the calories that went into building that, and now it's just sitting there. So, I said, I think we can really help people. The vendors will be typically optimistic about the ROI. I'm not saying it's not achievable. There's certainly lots of cases where people did better than what was forecasted. But I think just having another voice, it's almost like, call us for the doctor's second opinion, right?
That's a need, definitely. Like that first part you said, I can not count how many warehouses I've walked through in the last 1 year. And fortunately, my life takes me into a lot of warehouses every year. I saw AMRs sitting in corner, gathering dust. You ask them and it's like, yeah, profile changed, something's changed. It's just sitting there and it's not moving. And it's like, did you purchase the wrong thing? What really ended up happening? And that's conversation that I keep hearing. And multi-client 3PL needs versus, someone that's got like a really engineered solution over a 5-year 3PL operation or a brand or retail's operation. You see kind of all of these various needs. And why are these robots sitting there? So I guess you have something going over there for sure, 100%. And I mean, this is not a new thing. Dan and I, back in the days, we remember from our good old Genco days, we got a robot called Baxter.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
We were doing, I think again, it wasn't one of our sites, but in the
That was
site,
Rethink Robotics, based in Boston. Yeah, I know some of those guys.
And we were doing like DVD stacking, right?
Yep.
And it seemed like a really good idea. It turns out like just to manage that robot, we needed like 2 more people. So right, like behind it. That we took it out of operation, we would only roll it out when the customers were going through the facility. Right?
That's the shiny object 3PL effect.
There was an ROI on the commercial side.
Exactly.
We bring in a prospect. I said, fire up Baxter's, man. Get them going.
Yep, absolutely. So there is that weird aspect of 3PLs where the clients that are looking at hiring 3PL, they want to believe that the 3PL is going to help them navigate this crazy, primordial soup of all these different startups. And, hey, I trust you to ship my products. Why don't I just trust you to take care of, but don't tell me
operations. Why does it matter?
Right. Well, if, it doesn't. Right? I'm going to pay you a per unit piece or whatnot. And, I don't care if you, figure out how to train ants to pick the items up and move out. Right? It's really.
I manage you to my KPIs. I manage you to, our contractual requirements and to the cost. And if it's not working out, I'm going to go somewhere else. And to the quality, to the trust, the relationship. I think those things are way more important than actually like, is there a robot? But you are absolutely right. That's one of the reasons why we see, these robots rolled in just to show that we got robots.
Yeah. Not to knock, Baxter and Sawyer was their 2nd generation robot, right? But it's hard
it's
to
early
do.
iteration, right?
Like it was very early on.
That was 2014, 2015.
Yeah. And this is hard stuff, right? So if you want to be an early adopter, there's going to be bumps in the road.
Absolutely.
Right? We just came out with a blog post, Shaunak McNeil, one of our robot advisors, published, and we titled it, "Avoiding the Perils of Choosing the Wrong Robot. Don't Be the Kid in the Toy Store." Because this literally, there's 1 million square feet. There's 1,164 vendors, exhibitors here at Modex 2024. It makes a lot more sense. Shauna makes the argument very effectively that it makes a lot more sense to first think about what do you need to achieve from a business perspective, and then you have that sort of backdrop. And then when you see this, exciting new technology, does that support the business objective or are you just buying it? And if you're a 3PL, the world is different for you because maybe that'll lead to more sales and that's good, right?
Right.
But if you're not a 3PL, does it advance the business? There's the opportunity cost, of course, of where could you have deployed that capital or that energy and that integration from an IT standpoint to maybe some lower hanging fruit over here.
I agree.
What's your journey with robotic automation going to look like for your company? Do you want to be on the bleeding edge, of new stuff, which we need, right? There's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with that. You just need to know that you're going into that with eyes wide open, right? Or are you going to be kind of where you've got the early adopters and then the fast followers and then crossing the chasm, right? So where do you and your company want to be in that? Are you a very large, established, high margin, conservative company? And it's fine. Let everyone else,
Figure
get
it
the
out. Yeah.
cuts and bruises, and you'll just follow along after. And that's also fine. Right?
Though there is this part that I've noticed specifically in and I shouldn't even say North America because Canada's kind of excluded from this, but it is within
The 51st state.
Yeah, the 51st state. But like within United States, we do have, compared to the rest of the world, the knack, the willingness to try new things more often. You will see more pilots and pilot initiatives and trying new things out, more so here than almost anywhere else, because companies are more willing to bring in and try a little thing in a corner. And that's why I think there is also this dichotomy of like most of these companies, like when they hear pilot, their problem is like they'll never get out of pilot, right?
Yep.
And there is a lot of pilots that are happening out there.
Yeah, and if you've worked with engineers, right, they it's never ready for deployment. They always want to keep working on it. So there's a balance there where you've got to say, okay, it's time to snap the tape and let it go.
Go
and,
GA,
yeah, and we need to start getting real customer feedback. I mean, if you build it in an ivory tower without any real world experience, that's when you're absolutely going to miss the mark completely.
Is it a lot of building? So here's a question, and I don't know the inner guts and working of this space, but with the amount of robots I see on the floor, I would assume half or some of them are like OEMs that are just putting stickers from other things and just layering software on top of it versus doing true R&D to build. And is it even necessary to do R&D build? Like I'm a little lost. Like why is there? And the amount of companies I see here this year, like a percentage won't be there next year. And the ones that I saw last year, a percentage is either consolidated, name something. Like what's happening with this space?
You have both, right?
Okay.
We would probably call that business model where you're putting stickers on someone else's stuff, an integrator, right?
Yeah.
And there's absolutely room for that, for sure. That's especially in the palletizing business, right? Where you're palletizing, mixed cases and they're coming down. That business, for whatever reason, is dominated by a couple of large, robot arm manufacturers. I think just because of the cost of development, and they start out in automotive and they get the volumes up, so that we wouldn't want to launch a business like that, right? But then, someone else, unless you're Ford, you're not going to buy 400 of them, right? You'll see someone who's doing, maybe 2 cells of end of line palletizing or whatnot. And, a local person who's got a relationship with that particular warehouse operator, it makes sense to have that approach. I'll point to AutoStore as a very interesting example that is, one of the very large successful companies that has grown tremendously in the past 20 years. Their stuff is in a lot of these different integrator booths, right? They don't sell direct. And what's really interesting about AutoStore is they don't provide the intelligent software on top of the system either. They require the integrator to do the integration and the smarts in terms of how it's deployed.
The logic they provide, right? Like the whole algorithm of how
moving the totes around, for sure. Yes, absolutely.
And what settles at the bottom, what comes up, like
the bubbling up to the top came from one of the distributors who created that. And then I think everyone else had to copy it. So it's a very, very interesting business model. I was super skeptical at first because the hard part to all this is the software. So why would you want to have, I think they have, 25 or something like this, distributors globally, integrators, if you will. They're all having to write all this software, and that's the hard part. But it's forcing them, just for the bubble up feature that we were just talking about, it's like a little competitive marketplace. And, the guys in Norway just keep making great machinery with good intelligence. So, yeah.
I also see Exotech right now just making so much noise.
Yes. Yeah. I think it's a very clever system. I like how no lifts are required and how they just kind of come up to the pick station just on a little ramp. Very, very clever.
Beautiful. Yeah.
I wish we'd thought of that when I was at Intelligrated.
Well, listen, Chris, we have really appreciated the time. Congratulations on celebrating 1 year on your adventure. So I want to give you the opportunity to share with the audience where they could go to learn more. Where's the best place to follow you on social media?
Yeah, so LinkedIn, it's Robot Advisors. You can also go to our website. We archive the whole days so this is our 5th event. We have done Pack Expo. We did the Madrid Logistics Expo. We did ProMat last year, Manifest, LogiMat last year, and then of course we have this week. So if I survive through next Thursday, I will. I don't know.
I'm gonna text you. I'm gonna follow
I think I'm gonna
up and make sure you're.
I'm gonna
okay.
sleep for a week after.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But I've really enjoyed this, and great questions.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you
that.
guys.
As we bring another episode to a close here at Modex, we want to extend our gratitude to GNP Construction for their sponsorship of the podcast. If you're in need of top-notch, all-inclusive material handling solutions for logistics and commercial real estate, look no further than GNP Construction. Be sure to visit GANDPconstruction.com to discover your one-stop shop for turnkey MHE integrations.
Hi, I'm Ninad Acharya, CEO and co-founder of Fulfillment IQ, and I'm here with
Dan Call, CRO and partner at Fulfillment IQ. We're the team behind the Ecom Logistics podcast. Our mission is to provide you with genuine insights from our work alongside logistics leaders to help you improve your supply chain.
In the Ecom Logistics podcast, we share the knowledge and the insights we've gained from working alongside amazing brands, retailers, 3PLs, and VCs, so you can make the most out of your supply chain journey.
If you like what you're hearing, we'd truly appreciate your support with a 5-star rating on your favorite podcasting channel. Your feedback not only keeps us going, but also helps others find the podcast. If you think Fulfillment IQ can assist you, or if you have an idea related to logistics, just reach out to us on LinkedIn. We're always up for a chat and ready to explore new possibilities together.
Stay tuned to the Ecom Logistics podcast on your favorite podcast platform for fresh and practical insights into e-commerce and logistics. Until next time, let's keep making a difference.